Number 10. Capital of the medieval gold trade. In East Africa, there is an abandoned city that once controlled all gold trade moving through the region. It's called Kilwa, and it was once an economic powerhouse during the medieval ages. It oversaw all gold moving through East Africa, where it ruled on the coast of Swahili. Even more interesting is that it was a product of three distinct cultures: African, Arabian, and Persian. The remains of the abandoned city can still be seen to this day, clustered about a mile from the coast of Tanzania. There's not much left of it, the broken structure of a great mosque and the ruined fragments of a palace, but it's still an interesting reminder of the days when Africa was a truly rich kingdom. The local inhabitants were descendants of the Bantu and had a mixed language that included words from Persia and Arabia. The place was originally settled in the 4th century AD by small-time traders, but within 400 years, as Muslim traders moved in and out of the region, the city grew to its height. A great mosque was built, and everything was going just swell. Believe it or not, it thrived until the 16th century. It wasn't until Portugal showed up, occupied the city, and made it one of their own colonies that the city was lost. The Portuguese did so much damage that Kilwa was ultimately abandoned. No one has lived there since. Number 9. An Ancient Shipwreck. A team of archaeologists with Parks Canada made the incredible discovery of an abandoned shipwreck left frozen in time in the Northwest Passage. The ship is called the HMS Terror, and it left England almost 200 years ago on an expedition to find a shorter trade route from England to China. The voyage was led by Sir John Franklin, but clearly, it didn't go very well. The ship, along with its sister ship HMS Erebus, got stuck in the ice near King William Island. The crews of both ships abandoned them to the ice and tried to find civilization. Unfortunately, they never did, and instead died from scurvy, resorted to cannibalism, went completely insane, and suffered miseries you wouldn't believe. Now, for the first time, archaeologists have discovered the abandoned ships and even dived down into the frigid waters to get a good look at them. Amazingly, they're in the exact same shape they were 170 years ago. Lead archaeologist Ryan Harris told National Geographic it was as if no time passed at all. The only issue is that they're still stuck in the ice, and there's really no hope right now of bringing them back to the surface. Number 8. Jordan's Underwater Military Museum. There is a bizarre underwater military museum in the country of Jordan. It's located just beneath the Gulf of Aqaba in the Red Sea, filled with over 19 abandoned military machines. These relics of war are stationed along the coral reefs in tactical formation. The exciting underwater museum is now luring curious divers and snorkelers from around the world to check out a very unique experience. The way in which the underwater museum was created is quite fascinating. They didn't just throw a bunch of abandoned war machines in the water and see what happened. They had to do scanning, planning, and create blueprints. Then when they were ready, they had to scuttle each of the 19 military items in a single week. They also had to make sure that dumping the tanks and other weapons of war didn't disturb the local marine life. Now they have an entire army platoon stationed on the seafloor, waiting for a battle that will never come. Would you like to take a dive and see this in person? Let us know in the comments below. Number 7. Disney's Abandoned Island. Disney World's Discovery Island has been abandoned since 1999. It was originally called Treasure Island, located in Disney World's Bay Lake. At 11 acres large, the island opened in 1974 as a zoo. There were over 130 species of animals living here, including extremely rare creatures like Galapagos tortoises and ring-tailed lemurs. But in 1999, the park fell out of favor. Employees were accused of beating birds with sticks, and it was a huge fiasco. The place has been abandoned ever since. But that didn't stop a man in 2021 from breaking into Disney World, which had been closed since the middle of March, and trying to live on the abandoned island. The 42-year-old man is from Alabama. He told deputies after his arrest that he was unaware he was trespassing. He thought the island was a tropical paradise. According to the Orange County Sheriff's Office, he has since been charged with 1 count of trespassing. He's also been banned from ever stepping foot on another Disney property. What could have compelled a man to do something so strange? He apparently broke in thinking he would stay for a week on the island like it was some kind of tropical resort, but he was spotted by Disney security. The sheriffs showed up in helicopters, in boats, and on foot, and in the end, he was dragged away to jail. Number 6. Abandoned British Mental Hospital. Two men investigating a scary abandoned mental hospital in Britain say they encountered a ghost. As hard as that may be to believe, it's what they say happened. These two guys were exploring the ruined halls of the Rosslyn Lee Hospital in Edinburgh, a Scottish psychiatric institute founded in 1874. Its entire purpose was to provide medical care for patients who suffered from severe mental issues, but it closed in 2011, was abandoned, and left to decay. Ever since, it became a popular spot for urban explorers to look for ghosts. What's really interesting is that the hospital was actually pretty nice while it was open. It had its own water supply, patients were allowed to grow their own vegetables to supply their food, and it was really quite peaceful. It wasn't until the place was abandoned that it took on a more sinister appearance. Now the building is gloomy, the paint is peeling, and it's covered in weird graffiti. Jamie Osborne and Michael Cosgrove said that when they broke in to explore, the air just past the threshold was suddenly cold. Despite it being summer, they could see their breath. And it was as they were wandering through the halls that they allegedly saw a figure dressed in white looming over them. But according to them, they didn't stick around to look at it. They saw her, looked at each other, and then ran out the doors and haven't gone back since. Would you be brave enough to wander through an abandoned insane asylum? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe before the end of the video. Number 5. Bunker in the Garden. In England, a homeowner was carrying out a renovation when he discovered an abandoned bunker from the war in his garden. Chris Scott couldn't believe his eyes when he smashed through a drain cover in his backyard and found himself staring into the darkness of an underground hole. The hole was in fact a massive bunker with 2 rooms protected by concrete walls. It also had 2 escape hatches in case the bunker was discovered by the enemy. But who in the world built this thing, and why was it abandoned? That's become the real mystery. Chris believes the bunker may have been a secret hideout utilized by people living in the street during World War II. They probably used the bunker to protect themselves from the bombs being dropped by German planes, but it was abandoned after the war. The previous homeowner completely forgot about it, and its history was lost. Number 4. Mennonite Tombstones. In Ukraine, in the small city of Zaporizhia, the demolition of an abandoned building led to the discovery of over 100 mysterious Mennonite tombstones. The tombstones had been used as foundation building blocks for the derelict structure. The demolition workers were removing rubble from a destroyed brick barn when they found 4 layers of tombstones. What makes them so fascinating is that these abandoned grave markers were once memorials to people whose direct descendants now live in the Canadian province of Manitoba. This is actually pretty complicated. The grave markers have the names of Mennonites on them from a Mennonite cemetery that was destroyed by the Soviet Union in the 1930s. Most of these Mennonites actually migrated to Canada instead of bowing down to the Soviet Union prior to World War II. The Soviets killed plenty of Ukrainians after the Russian Revolution a century ago, and Canada basically opened its doors to any who wished to escape. The tombstones must have been pillaged by the remaining villagers, used as foundation blocks, and then only discovered now when the abandoned structure was torn down. Number 3. Too many snakes. In an abandoned house in Bradford, Canada, a man stumbled upon something truly gruesome. It all started when his neighbor noticed his house was stinking. There was a terrible stench wafting out the windows. The neighbor contacted the owner, who came by the next day to find that his tenants had abandoned the property with no warning. They simply picked up and left. When the homeowner traced the horrible stench through the house, he found 3 plastic containers. 2 were holding dead pythons, and 1 held a dead rattlesnake. The homeowner didn't know what to think, so he called the police and the SPCA. They sent their own investigators to the house and discovered a 4th python. This one's still alive. It was taken to a local veterinarian who thankfully managed to save the serpent's life. As for the horrible tenants who abandoned the house and their snakes, an investigation is still ongoing to bring them up on charges of animal abandonment. Number 2. Secret Gold Mine. Adam Palmer has spent the last 10 years of his life searching for a secret gold mine abandoned in the BC mountains. The gold mine is a part of an old legend, one that supposedly comes complete with a curse. Adam hasn't spent every waking moment searching for the mine, but he does spend a significant portion of each summer prowling the mountains near Pitt Lake in search of Slumac's gold. Through all his hunting, he never found a single piece of evidence that the mine even exists. That is, until now. Adam believes that in a remote alpine meadow, about 35 miles from Vancouver, the remnants of an abandoned log cabin is proof that the mine really is there somewhere. He believes the abandoned log cabin he found was once home to a prospector named Slumac, who had been mining the secret gold. However, he still hasn't found the mine itself. Why is it so important to find? Because the legend says that the mine is worth billions. Prospectors through the decades have died trying to find it. Some have gone missing, and those who believe in it think it's cursed. Number 1. Untouched for 40 years. The Marion Carl farmhouse has been sitting abandoned on Long Island for the past 40 years. The lovely Victorian property hasn't had an outside visitor in 4 decades until photographer Brian Sansevero was given exclusive access. The district allowed him to go in and peek around a bit. What he discovered was an amazing piece of history frozen in time. The farmstead dates all the way back to 1701, but the house itself wasn't built until the Civil War in 1860. The house didn't get its name until Marion Carl, born in 1885, had already been living in it for decades. She was a renowned teacher who founded the first local PTA program and had a school named after her in 1957. When she died in 1968, she handed her enormous farmhouse over to the school board. But alas, they abandoned it. As everybody is probably aware, school boards don't exactly have unlimited funding. The 1990s saw the place fall into serious disrepair because the school board couldn't pay to maintain or repair anything. Now the house is creepy and empty, filled with Marion's abandoned belongings as if she walked out the door in the 1800s and never returned. Which of these incredible abandoned discoveries piqued your interest the most? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button before you go and check out more awesome videos from the channel. See you soon. Bye!